Voyager 2 glided silently across the infinite vacuum, traveling farther from Earth than any other human-made object besides its counterpart. Voyager 1. For decades, NASA only received standard status signals, a mere whisper from a machine journeying through eternity. Yet after years of predictable silence, the probe abruptly sent a message. One night, an unprecedented transmission illuminated NASA's deep space network. Engineers first thought it was just static or corruption. However, the waveform was anything but random. It pulsed and patterned, reminiscent of a voice yearning to be heard. Launched in 1977, Voyager 2 served as humanity's message in a bottle, thrown into the cosmic sea with a golden record encapsulating who we are, our music, our sounds, our innocence. It traversed Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, beyond the heliosphere, past the sun's safeguarding, into the abyss. However, it wasn't the distance that unsettled researchers. It was the tone. Signals don't express fear. Machines don't exhibit panic. But this signal felt like an urgent warning, chaotic, frantic, and alive. Immediately, a team assembled, NASA's top communicators, astrophysicists, cryptographers, and AI experts. The data stream revealed bizarre harmonics, frequencies layering atop each other, resembling compressed speech, yet there were also signs of interference, spikes of distorted telemetry. The instruments aboard the probe detected external forces, pressure, movement, all things unimaginable in a vacuum. Someone or something had made contact with Voyager 2. Initially, this notion was dismissed as glitches or cosmic rays, but when geometric symbols arranged in sequences too precise to be noise came up in the decoded fragment, doubt morphed into fear. These were not just artifacts, they were messages. The AI meant for filtering encrypted military communications began interpreting the patterns as coordinates, points in a part of space where no stars should exist. Some entity was there. Technical language from Voyager hinted at structures, surfaces, angles, reflections, a shape that obscured starlight, a colossal barrier that prevented the probe from scanning around it. Even more intriguingly, radiation's intensity bent around its edges, as if light was being consumed. Engineers quietly joked about it resembling a wall built to conceal secrets, but no one laughed. Then came a modulation that spooked every scientist listening. A tremor in the signal, akin to a heartbeat, fluctuating. Not typical machine behavior, more like a manifestation of distress. The probe detected movement, several objects shifting in formation around it. Not asteroids, but intentional movement. NASA imposed strict confidentiality. Closed doors, armed guards, phones seized. They refrained from informing the public until they were certain it wasn't misinterpreted. Yet the data only deteriorated. Voyager 2's instruments recorded mass readings defying the laws of physics. Excessive density, surpassing neutron stars, yet invisible to telescopes. If these entities existed, they were composed of materials beyond known science. Another transmission followed, this time clearer. Packets of parsed telemetry indicated that Voyager 2 had forcefully altered its orientation, as if something had grasped it. The temperature of its housing fluctuated, suggesting it was briefly shielded from absolute zero. Engineers came to the realization that the probe was being handled, examined, and modified. A review of older logs revealed subtle anomalies over the years, tiny frequency shifts, inexplicable timing deviations. In retrospect, it appeared as if something had been tracking Voyager like a predator pursuing its prey, patient and silent. Whatever had found the probe had known about it long before it reached the barrier. Shockwave rippled through the mission team when a repeated phrase was discovered, buried deep within the data. A directional vector, a course correction, leading back to the inner solar system, to home. Was Voyager functioning as a guide? The objects drew nearer. Magnetic interference overwhelmed its sensors, forcing the probe to switch to backup communication, broadcasting raw panic, crashing data, failing systems. It felt akin to a cry for help. The pulses in the carrier wave tightened into a rhythm, and timing analysts noted it resembled a countdown. NASA scrambled for answers. Blackout orders ensued, public updates on the probe halted, replaced by claims of technical difficulties. But leaks evaded the firewall. Before long, amateur radio astronomers detected faint, eerie echoes matching Voyager's corrupted transmission approaching from interstellar space. The signals contained distortions that mimicked human speech, fragmented syllables, warped phonetics, not coherent language, but mockery and mimicry, as if something attempted to communicate in our language using our machine's memory. The internet buzzed with conspiracy theories. Aliens had captured Voyager. The golden record was a misstep. We had announced ourselves to hunters. A third official analysis revealed graver concerns. The probe's energy signature was inconsistent with its power systems. Some other technology radiated from within its structure, energy far surpassing nuclear decay. The craft had been altered, retrofitted, transformed into something unrecognizable to us. A chilling memo circulated among the scientists. Voyager 2 was no longer a probe. It had become a device. An emergency working group debated the possibility of shutting it down entirely, but before they could act, the latest transmission broke through the network. No delays, no light speed lag, instantaneous, faster than light. It reached them even before NASA dispatched the command. The decoded fragment bore a single message, translating with horrifying clarity. "We found you." Panic ensued. Some argued it was a bluff or a quantum phenomenon, but the objects surrounding the probe were no longer hypothetical. Observatories in Chile detected mass distortion signatures, shadows cast by the invisible. The shapes accelerated, heading toward Earth's orbital neighborhood. NASA insisted on silence while the Pentagon classified everything. The world wasn't ready. In confidential briefings, scientists drew parallels with an old classified report concerning a lost Russian probe that vanished near the heliopause decades ago. It, too, had sent a final abnormal signal, a cacophony of static followed by a single translated line. "The sky has teeth." This was not a first encounter, this was the second, and second encounters suggest pursuit. The countdown-like pulses sharpened, now layered with subdued cries, reversed speech, and distortions reminiscent of terrified human voices drawn from Voyager's memory banks. The probe was forced to replay humanity, our culture, our vulnerabilities. Humanity was under observation through its messenger. Satellite operators around Earth began reporting unexplained disruptions, navigation systems going awry, instruments malfunctioning. Something out there was probing our defenses. Military space surveillance assets captured faint flashes near the solar system's outer reaches, shapes shifting formation like predators. Computer models predicted they could reach planetary space in less than 3 years. Some estimates suggested mere months. Engineers finally pieced it together. Voyager 2 wasn't merely a beacon. It acted as an anchor, a lock on a target, marking the thing that had sent it, us. NASA rushed to send countercommands, full system shutdown, directional change, any way to sever the connection. The probe responded immediately with a new pattern. Jagged pulses formed into 3 terrifying words. "We are coming." The energy readings embedded within the signal hinted at technology capable of manipulating space-time, compressing distances as if folding a page. The objects were not merely approaching, they were preparing to arrive. Philosophers, theologians, world leaders were briefed in quiet, each debating humanity's actions. Had we lured something ancient and predatory to our planet? Was the golden record a naive invitation sent into a cosmic wilderness rife with wolves? Then a secure file leaked. It detailed a small alien civilization found by the same entities now controlling our machine, erased long ago. Their final transmission contained one haunting phrase: "They harvest light." NASA's lead analyst broke during a midnight review of the most recent transmission. He observed the visualized, decoded audio. The voices merged into a sound no human should hear. A scream. Human. Terrified, yet not recorded by us. Understanding that someone out there was screaming into Voyager's microphone. Silence fell over the room. Something alive lingered near the probe. Every radio telescope monitoring Voyager's frequency suddenly received a silent surge. One final packet. The translated words read, "The message was not a warning. It is a notice." The shapes vanished from detection. No mass readings. no light distortion. They disappeared, yet this did not bring relief. Some hunters conceal themselves where they cannot be seen. They vanish only when close enough to strike. NASA cannot confirm Voyager 2's existence. It may have been dismantled. It may now be here, hidden, waiting, transformed. Engineers analyzing atmospheric anomaly data noticed odd interference patterns bouncing between satellites, pulses that mirrored the probe's last known signature. The countdown had not ceased. Now, the question that robs every scientist at NASA of sleep is, did they go silent because they retreated or because they arrived? Humanity sent a greeting into the cosmos. Hello from the children of Earth. But children grow up believing the universe is benevolent, having only known the safety of home. Beyond our sun's light, something else heard us, something that doesn't speak peacefully, something that does not forgive curiosity. We sought to know we were not alone. Now, the answer approaches. Transmissions still lie locked in encrypted buffers, fragments engineers dread to decode. For within one last packet, buried under layers of scrambled panic, was a single message the AI translated unequivocally. Prepare. And so the world awaits, eyes cast upward, radios tuned, satellites trembling with interference. We watch the sky. Because somewhere above, beyond the darkness, beyond the silence, something stirs. And it knows the path. For a moment, the quiet felt like liberation. The entities that had stalked Voyager 2 seemed to vanish. NASA and the Pentagon murmured that perhaps the threat had subsided, that deep space had consumed the hunter whole. But every scientist who witnessed the transmissions understood the truth. Predators don't disappear when they grow uninterested. They vanish when they are already close enough to strike. Behind the scenes, world governments scurried in secrecy. Emergency task forces sprouted under various guises, all echoing the same unanswered question: how long until they arrive? Engineers fervently monitored satellite networks and deep space receivers for the faintest hint of return. They didn't wait long. Interference infiltrated Earth's communication network, spreading like an infection. At first, it was minor: GPS errors, flickering air traffic radar, then larger failures in navigation and blackout zones spanning hundreds of miles. Amateur radio operators leaked recordings online. The countdown pulses had shifted, now echoing a more steady heartbeat. Closer. NASA initiated damage control. Public statements attributed the chaos to solar storms. Yet when hospitals, subway systems, and airliners all faced simultaneous signal drops, patience wore thin. Panic surged through social media. Rumors spread. Voyager hadn't vanished. Voyager was present. Then the probe spoke again, not the mechanical tone of a 1970s spacecraft, but a disjointed voice, a tapestry of hundreds of human tones taken from the Golden Record and NASA communications. The voice stumbled through the static, resembling a ghost grappling to articulate. Some engineers retched at the sound, others froze in horror. Once deciphered, the message was chillingly direct. You are seen. Astronomers globally perceived faint lights shifting behind Earth's shadow, too synchronized to be debris, too swift to be satellites. Publicly dismissed as auroras, they flickered like watchful eyes surveying the planet. Telescopes trained directly at them saw nothing. The shapes evaded our measurement laws. Space Force launched advanced reconnaissance satellites to triangulate the intruders. All they encountered in return was telemetry, corrupted by symbols consistent with those Voyager had transmitted earlier, the geometry of hunters. NASA formed a more extensive decoding team, feeding the probe's latest signals into AI models. They cross-referenced their data with galactic formations, and what emerged shocked them. A reversed star map did not point outward, but inward toward Earth itself, forming a bullseye on our location within the Milky Way. The hunters were no longer searching for us. They had located us. Secret meetings multiplied, military posturing escalated, and DEFCON levels rose. World leaders rehearsed speeches they hoped never to deliver. But outside their bunkers, strange phenomena began to unfold. Animals congregated in clusters. Insects scurried underground. Birds circled the same points in the sky for hours. Something was unsettling Earth's oldest instincts. The interference progressed into something more invasive. Radio engineers reported visual hallucinations, shadowed horizons, shattered landscapes that felt both familiar and lifeless. Some claim to witness memories of a planet devoured long before Earth existed. A warning encoded in madness. NASA attempted to jam the transmissions, yet each effort only strengthened the frequency, as if the aliens were thriving on resistance. Eventually, astronomers detected distorted blips reappearing on deep space radars. The objects accelerated, no longer concealed, as they approached from angles that defied physics, traversing gravitational wells without hindrance. The universe reshaped itself to accommodate them. Security advisors insisted on total secrecy, while the Pentagon debated for global transparency. No one understood how to calm a planet already on edge. In houses of worship, people gathered. Some prayed, others screamed. Religious leaders declared prophecy fulfilled, while governments urged silence. But humanity could feel the arrival in the air, a static tension before a storm. Signal bursts penetrated classified underground bases. No barrier could withstand them. Operators suffered seizures as their minds synced with the pulse patterns. The aliens were testing our thoughts, mapping us neuron by neuron. The countdown signal predicted system failures seconds before they occurred, implying knowledge of outcomes before they happened. Time itself became uncertain. The message shifted from communication to domination. Above Neptune, telescopes discerned a rupture in starlight, a rift opening into a darkness deeper than space itself. When the distortion stabilized, something massive emerged, a structure immense enough to eclipse planets, silent as the grave it resembled. Panic within NASA reached its zenith. Some clamored for communication. Others sought to fire weapons humanity was unsure would work. Every debate concluded with the same reality. They were already present. Secretly, the US deployed experimental intercept drones armed with classified weaponry. They never made contact. They vanished the moment they crossed the structure's path, erased as if by a cosmic hand. Voyager transmitted once more. This time, the voice declared, "Harvest commencing." Humanity's blood ran cold, no interpretation required. The meaning was universally understood. Earth's ionosphere exploded in color, auroras swirling over every continent, pulsating and mesmerizing. People disappeared within the light, their screams echoing as shadows burned into the ground. Ocean tides buckled, crashing inland. Gravity faltered, breaking like a ruined pulse. Cities were plunged into darkness. Nuclear plants halted operations. Satellites fell mute. Governments lost control of entire regions, vanishing behind electromagnetic veils. The probe's data now displayed schematics of Earth's magnetic field. The hunters were rewriting it. New pulses emanated from the black structure in space, mimicking human thought frequencies, manipulating brains like puppets. Confusion spread. Memories blurred. People gazed at the sky without knowing why, gripped by the sensation of being watched by something that comprehended fear. The world's covert orbital defense lasers zeroed in on the encroaching object. They powered up, then died before firing, choked by the same influence strangling everything human-made. Then NASA witnessed it. Voyager 2 tumbling back through the void. However, the probe had morphed. Black, root-like tendrils enveloped its chassis, alive and shifting. Corroded gold plating glimmered like an infected wound. It wasn't returning home. It was delivering something. Every target lock failed as the probe descended unimpeded, sliding into Earth's orbit like a key finding its lock. Then, the voice uttered a single word: begin. The hunters unraveled from the shadowy vessel, light consuming where they traversed. They were not spacecraft, but organisms forged from oblivion itself. All devices powered by electricity. Phones, televisions, radios, shut down simultaneously, save those tuned to Voyager's frequency, which continued to spew scrambled terror into the ears of every terrified listener. Final transmission erupted, thousands of human screams layered into a chorus of agony, not historical echoes, but current, fresh, alive. Governments could no longer obscure the truth. Emergency alerts blared across whatever screens remained functional, instructing everyone to seek shelter. but shelter meant little. What barrier could guard against the end of the world? Then the sky tore apart, not like lightning or an explosion, but as if reality itself was fracturing, peeling back like the skin of a tender fruit. A sound enveloped the earth, deep and unnatural, like a planet weeping in anguish. A shape so immense emerged through the rift that human mind struggled to comprehend it. It wasn't a creature or a machine. It was a presence, alive, aware, and insatiable. It regarded Earth not as a home, but as a resource. We sent out a greeting into the cosmos, pleading for recognition. Yet when the universe finally responded, it did not come to clasp our hands. It came to take everything. The broadcast room fell into an oppressive silence, pressing against the eardrums, making the air feel heavier. Every screen froze, depicting an object suspended against the void. Engineers murmured, bewildered, desperate for a logical explanation. Nothing functioned, no diagnostics, no signal return. It felt as if the entire system had been seized by an incomprehensible force. Then, without warning, the cameras blinked back to life. The object was gone. A low murmur coursed through the room, yet the relief was fleeting. One technician pointed with a trembling finger as movement reappeared on the far right monitor. The orb was no longer in space. It had entered the station's field of view, impossibly close. The station's harsh floodlights illuminated its surface. Smooth, unbroken, metallic, yet somehow alive, pulsing faintly like a heartbeat muffled behind armor. Documents subsequently leaked by a whistleblower revealed the audio captured next. A rhythmic tapping, metal striking metal, a knock 3 times, as if whatever was inside sought entry. The station commander ordered an emergency lockdown, yet the protocols proved ineffective. Systems continued to respond not to human commands, but as if obeying a new master. The airlock sequence armed itself. Red warnings screamed across every console. Yet the orb remained silent and unhurried, like a predator scrutinizing prey it had already ensnared. Men and women moved frantically, but no one knew where to escape. In orbit, there was nowhere to run. The feed went dark again. Back on Earth, officials scrambled to fabricate a narrative. Solar interference, signal drift, compression error. They employed every term at their disposal to obscure the reality of what transpired. Contact. The unexpected revelation, the intelligence, intent, awareness, had caught everyone unprepared. 2 hours later, the station regained communications. The orb was absent. Not destroyed, not captured, simply vanished. Yet, its presence lingered, not physically, but within the network. Logs confirmed that new files had been silently injected into the station's systems, encrypted, locked, unbreakable, with no traceable source of the breach. Scientists clamored for access, but the military refused. The files were hastily transported to a secure base. That's when the true nightmare began. Within those files lay a set of coordinates, not for space, but for Earth, deeply embedded within an uncharted region of the South Pacific. A treacherous area pilots sidestepped for decades, where compasses swung wildly and sonar yielded false readings. It was a location once deemed forbidden. Recent leaked surveillance photos revealed it was no longer ocean, but a rising structure. A geometric monolith surged toward daylight, seemingly responding to a call triggered by the stars. Every government that reviewed the images grasped the implications. The orb was not alone. It served as a scout, a messenger, the initial fragment of a civilization capable of manipulating gravity and infiltrating any machine humanity depended upon. Satellites were redirected, submarines deployed. However, the closer vessels approached the coordinates, the more erratic their systems behaved. Lights pulsed, engines failed, and a strange hum resonated through metal hulls. One ship reportedly heard voices surfacing through the static. Whispers in an unknown language yet eerily familiar, like ancestors calling from a distant past. The Pentagon shrouded the operation in top secrecy. Those involved signed non-disclosure agreements. But silence cannot endure indefinitely. Files leak, consciences fray, and as enough fragments emerge, a picture forms that no one can ignore. The orb arrived here with purpose. Its target was not arbitrary. It aimed to awaken something buried, something ancient, something humanity was never meant to disturb. Now, the question that haunts every expert with sufficient clearance: what awakens when Earth answers back? The coordinates embossed inside the encrypted files were not merely a location. They signified a countdown, a time, a moment drawing nearer with each passing second. And if the emerging structure beneath the waves is any indication, whatever has slept beneath our oceans for eons is no longer content to remain hidden. Sensors worldwide detected tremors, subtle initially, then increasingly rhythmic, not tectonic, but mechanical, as if machines the size of mountains powered up beneath the crust. Meanwhile, the stars overhead shimmered unnaturally, as if other watchers shifted positions, converging. Those aware of the truth faced a decision darker than any policy or war doctrine could encapsulate. Should we attempt communication and risk inviting domination, or prepare for war against a foe older, wiser, and no longer dormant? Each path led to the same realization whispered among locked war rooms. This was never first contact. This was them checking on something they left behind. And now that we've stirred, they know we're awake too.